Welcome back, guys, to Swing Trading and Coffee. This is the weekly trading plan, where we break down Wall Street's big narratives and map out the game plan for next week. So the indices are holding up, dip buyers are alive, but under the surface though, it's kind of a weird mix. You have hiring slowing down, layoffs are picking up in the headlines, but unemployment claims are still considered low. So things aren't that great, but they're not breaking either, which is exactly why stocks are just still drifting higher on low volume instead of falling apart. Now, the real fireworks probably are going to start this week. The Fed wraps up its big meeting on December 9th to 10th. Watch for Chair Jerome Powell's words on rate cuts and if he says anything about cooling inflation. Now, right after that, December 18th to the 19th, the Bank of Japan steps up as the surprise guest. They've been super loose with rates like forever, but if they tighten, it could unwind some risky bets around the world. Like those carry trades where folks borrow cheap yen to chase US gains. And if you're interested in learning about that, I just put up a video about it yesterday. The Bank of Japan is kind of like the wild card that can easily shake up markets and force some real de-risking if they surprise us with their decision. So in the weekly trading plan, I'll walk you through how I'm thinking about it, what I'm watching on the SPX, the triple Qs, yields, dollar yen, and where I'm looking for some awesome swing entries instead of FOMO chasing after this run. But before I get into it, I have to let you know this content is not financial advice. It is only intended for educational purposes. All right, guys. So starting off with the triple Qs, you're going to see here that we have been in this kind of like chop pattern for the past couple of weeks. We did have this trend line coming down diagonally like this, which did meet some resistance, as you can see in this wick over here. It wicked down and it closed below it, but the next day it just gapped above it. So what does that tell us? It tells us that we have gotten across an important resistance line. Now we are sitting right here, and let me zoom in. You'll see that we wicked above it and then we came back down. Now, what is going on in this zone? So here, first off, you have like a tiny gap, very small, needed to be filled. It did just that, and then it came back down. So what we have up here is a call wall at 686. Now, what does that mean? If you trade options, if you buy calls, that means you're bullish on the stock, you're betting on it. And this is from the options flow. It shows us if there are big buyers, how much they bought, how much they sold. You have to do a little bit of investigative work to figure it out, but the numbers are still there. So when you're at a call wall, before it kind of like pulls it up, but then when it gets up, there's going to be some resistance. However, I expect if we can push through this Monday, it's going to trigger a big wave of buying. But like I said, the market this week and the following week are going to be waiting for those interest rate decisions. So right now, am I bullish? Yeah, I'm bullish. I opened up some new positions, but I am playing very small size. Now, when am I going to start adding in more aggressively is if we can clear the all-time highs at 690. That for me may be the signal to add, because that would indicate we're going up pretty high into the 700s. Now, if I zoom out and let me switch over to the weekly, you do have this very long-term trend line here. So you had one touch here, second, and then here you had the third and the fourth, and then now we're closing up on it again. Now, what happened last time? I brought up a similar pattern where we were approaching the top of the trend line. It chopped around for a bit around the top. It didn't really make it there, and then it reversed downwards. Not saying it's going to happen this time, but when you have something like that forming, you have to watch out. Now, if we switch back to the daily, we could draw another channel here, which is the original channel we were watching. We've fallen out of it, and then we've come up here. We've reclaimed this area. You can think of this area here as a possible channel that could continue once we form some structure. I wouldn't be surprised if it chops for a bit until it finds that breakout. I think it eventually will. Now, here's the next thing I like to look at is the Japanese 10-year yield. When the 10-year yield spikes, the safe returns they can get back home in Japan begins to return, and suddenly it looks like better to have your money over there. The yen strengthens and money starts flowing back into Japanese bonds instead of global risk assets like the S&P and our tech stocks. And what that does is it puts pressure on US tech, AI stocks, and the yen carry trade could begin to unwind. So this is something I'm going to be having on my charts for the foreseeable future. The second one is the Japanese yen. We don't want a stronger yen. So the stronger the yen gets, the more pressure it puts on US stocks. If you have people, investors, banks from Japan that are playing the carry trade, and then what they need to do is if the yen gets too high, they have to pay it back. Otherwise, they're going to lose on the conversion if they decide to go back. So they have to de-risk. Next, let's take a look at semiconductors. This is the SMH, the Van Eck semiconductor. And let me clean this up a bit so you guys can see what's going on here. So we have this yellow line. This was our resistance a couple days back. And when we were here, I told everybody that the EMAs are starting to curl up. It's looking nice. And we just need a confirmed breakout. And look what happened here. We had one close on the first day and a second close after that above the yellow line. So now I expect this to act as support. What that means is, if we come back down here, not too much need to worry. It may set us up for a big move to the upside. However, I would like to see some strength in this move we're having to the upside. So far it has, but not on the highest volume. So if you look down here, we really have been declining in volume all week. And that makes me a little bit cautious because that could just mean that we've been drifting up on low volume because there's not much going on. That's typically what happens when, institutions are not doing much and retail is just buying. And then the people that have shares of any companies they want to hold, they're just holding on to see what happens. So you get this little slow drift upwards. Now let's take a look at stocks that either I am trading or I am watching for them to hit specific prices so I can get in on a swing trade. The first one on the list is Nvidia. So it kind of looks, we got to zoom out a little here to see the long-term pattern. It looks like we've had this very nice move to the upside. It's technically you could count this all as one move. We could even try and squeeze it into a channel here. Not the best channel, but it kind of gives you an idea of the range it's been trading in. There you go. This is better. You have now you have several points of contact at the bottom. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 points of contact, and then here is where it failed. So annoyingly, we've been in this downward channel for a while. Even though we've rallied and all that stuff, but it's still kind of just holding up here. And you could look at this overall chart as kind of like a bull flag. You have the pole and you have the flag. It would have been nicer if it were like over a shorter period of time, a little bit more slanting upwards than this, but it is still technically a bull flag. So what am I expecting for Nvidia? Now, I want to bring your attention to this yellow trend line here. Starts here, and then it tags this one, it tags it here, and then it acted here as a support. You go check every candle. Every time it came near that trend line, it has had some sort of reaction to it. So you have this downward channel, and also intersecting with it here, you have this line. Now, the upper trend line here is intersecting at this spot, and this is exactly where we're holding up. So the reason I have this alert is so that if this breaks out here and we have a confirmation, preferably either 2 green candles, or if we're getting like a very big, powerful move on volume, I'm going to get in on this. So what is my target? So there are 2 ways to look at this, and these targets can be kind of crazy depending on how you plot them. So if you want to kind of consider this whole thing as one move, you'd start it off here to the top, and then you bring it to the bottom here. And that gives you a target of about $241. If we can break out from here, that's a good 30%. But this is not the most conservative way to draw this. More conservative way would be probably maybe start it off from here. So that would take us also, if you go with the, so the 0.618 here would be at 199, about $200. That would be your first target. And then about 217, 219. And then here in the middle is why I have the 234. So we have, to simplify this for you guys, the 0.618 is the main level I target using the fibs. And then I scale out a little bit more here, a little bit more here, depending on how strong the momentum is. You could reach the 0.618. So if it does break out, I am going to get in and ride it, scale it out, and then I will let you know how this trade is playing out. If you guys want live updates during the day, when I'm doing my homework, analyzing charts, and picking up, spots like these where you could have a breakout or a setup, I post most of them on X. So I'm going to post it in the description if you want to follow me on X. Happy to have you along for the ride. Next one up is Tesla. So long-term view, big picture. We had this triangle back here. We broke out of it. And then we had this resistance line. And once we broke out, this was a signal for me to go long. This was my first trade on Tesla, which worked out absolutely beautiful. Now, what happened up here is we got above, we got up here to this zone, which there were some fib targets there, and then I started to scale out on the pullback. And now we've been kind of like chopping up and down. We've formed this bottom trend line. And let me clean that up for you a bit. And what I was saying before is that a couple of days ago is we're at this trend line. We're going in for a second retest, and that is that red candle here. I said if this breaks through, it's going to be very ugly for Tesla. If it bounces off, our next target to take out is this red line here. Now, what is this red line? You have over here this kind of like bell-shaped curve, which is the volume profile. It tells you how much volume traded at each given price. That is different than the regular volume chart, which tells you the volume for each candle. This one is focused on price. Not only have we gotten above this point of control, now it acts as support below. So this is really good. You can see here it acted as support as well. So what's the plan now? We have gotten above kind of like a, you could kind of say there's a weak resistance up here. And let me show you. Every time we wicked above this zone, we came back down. See here. So now that we've flipped this, this is likely support as well. So what is my outlook for Tesla? It's looking really good in my opinion, and it's setting up for a big run. And also proof of that is all the options flow that we've seen this week. We've seen crazy numbers, $13 million in calls coming in. And also this was a call wall here. You'll see I have a note here that says call wall. So I think we have good support now at 448. Now, the only thing I can think of that could derail this Tesla rally is either something goes wrong with the rate cuts in the US or the Bank of Japan. I am targeting, however, if we're looking at this in a vacuum, my first target is 490. And then the next target will be, we have this yellow trend line here, which goes way back. You'll see that we have a point here, a point there, and then we're approaching it around 513, 515. Maybe as we drift diagonally, you'll get about up to like 520. So first target, 490, second target, 520. Afterwards, I'm going to reassess the chart and decide what I want to do. Now, next up, we got Netflix. A lot of chatter on X about Netflix. The overall options flow on this is still bearish. I'm not seeing buyers step in. However, on the charts, you'll see that we have these two lines in the middle. And what that shows us is we have here a kind of like a support level at this. We have another point of control here, but it is grayed out. It's just a smaller volume node and we haven't shifted down into it. But this can act as support. And then above it here, we have a $100 put wall. And what that means is we have this area up here where people are shorting. So Netflix is stuck in a kind of like tight area. Depending on where it breaks out next, that'll help me make my decision. To be honest, I'm thinking of longs, but catching bottoms is not my favorite setup. For me, it has a lower rate of success. So when we have something like this, I need to wait a little bit extra, get that extra confirmation, maybe even a couple candles here to form some kind of curling upwards, and then we can think about going up, targeting that 114. Also, you got to think about all these EMAs just coming down. These are going to act as overhead resistance. So depending on how strong of a move we get and whether we can build some structure before that, I'll make a decision on this and I'll let you guys know if I get into it. Next up, we got Meta. See, this is more of a cleaner kind of like bull flag compared to the one I was showing you earlier. See, this is more kind of cleaner, more upright, and then we have a very clean flag pattern. However, we did gap massively and we got below this resistance zone. So if we zoom in, you'll see this box here, and let me clean this up. You have this box here, which it kind of acted as support, and then, it acted as resistance here for a little bit. We broke above it, and then it came back down to retest, and it was now support. So now we flipped it back into resistance. So I don't have any trade on Meta right now. I know a lot of people are trading it, but it's a little hard to gauge where it's going to stop. A big part of the move has already happened. Now, the setup that I believe I mentioned to you guys maybe like a couple days ago is when we were in this area right here and you started to bounce. I said, if we can get above this light bluish line here, we have two candles for confirmation and we have good volume, that could be a setup. So if you took the setup there, you're probably up, roughly 5%. So it's a little bit late in the move. Another thing I want to point out is that in addition to this big gap up here that needs to be filled, we now have a smaller one below. And I have an alert here. If it pulls back to fill the gap and we start seeing it bounce off the EMAs, then that could set me for a cheaper entry. And then we could have more confirmation that this is not just a quick bounce and fade, but this actually is going to form a higher low and continue upwards. Next on our watch list is Palantir. I am starting to like this chart. It's showing some real strength here. You'll see we have this long-term trend line that I've drawn, multiple points of contact, and it acted as support here recently. And I was in a Palantir trade somewhere around here looking for a continuation to the upside. We did not get that, and I stopped out once we broke this trend line. I said, if we broke this yellow line, it's look out below, and below we did go. So down here, we got another point of control, which we reacted to very nicely. And now we're above the EMAs again. So we are confirmed above the EMAs. So this is the first sign that we have a reversal. But we look where we are holding up here at the yellow trend line. So my signal to go long on this, well, actually I do have a position in Palantir. And while I'm at it, let me pull up my current positions to show you. So these are the current positions that I have on right now, most of them small size, and I'll be adding into them as I go along. Tesla doing okay, up 15%. I did have to roll the older contracts into this one to bring the strike a little bit down and give it more time because that contract was losing money. And next up, we have IonQ. This is a very interesting stock that I just picked up, and I'm going to show you this chart up next. This one's up 21%, not doing bad. Qualcomm, I'm up 52%. And in case you're wondering how I got 52%, these are all options plays. Palantir, the one we're currently on, up 36%. So we haven't moved too much yet. So once we break that yellow trend line, I will likely add into it. And after that, I picked up also this week CoreWeave. I think it has a long way to go back to the upside. Going to share that in a second. Circle, very small entry and kind of flat. At the bottom, you'll see Nvidia down 89%. I bought a put on Nvidia because, after the news, the competition from Google came out and the markets were looking shaky. This one kind of got in the green for a little, but then I just left it on as a hedge. And, with a hedge, I just leave it. It's kind of like your insurance. I don't stop out of it. I just leave it on in case we get a wild swing. This can help balance out some of the turbulence in my portfolio. So on Palantir, if we clear that line, I'm looking for a fill of this gap up here and maybe even a retest of the highs. No targets yet on Palantir until we cross this line up here. Then we can maybe do a measurement of the move and figure out some fib targets and compare them to see if they line up with any of these resistance levels. Now onto IonQ. This is an interesting chart, lots going on here, and I'm going to explain to you all this madness. So let's start from the move that happened from the upside downwards. You'll see we came down all the way here. We kind of wicked off this 50.69 zone. We went back up. We came back into it. We held at it. That tells us that there is a kind of like a support zone here. But as soon as it broke it, we went much lower. Here, what we're seeing is an inverse head and shoulders. Here you got the first shoulder, second shoulder, and this is the head. Now up here, this line, which acted as support, is the neckline of the head and the inverse head and shoulders. So once you break that neckline, it's technically a play to go long. So we had this very strong candle here, and we had big volume. That was the day I entered. So now the next candle, it didn't do much. It went up and then it came back, but it held. As long as it's holding this zone at 50.69, I am bullish on IonQ. If it goes below it, I stop out. And then if it continues, I think this has a long way to go up. We have quite the distance where we could slingshot back up. I'm not saying we're going to break the highs yet. Too early to call that. But it is looking like a reversal. Now, what is this vertical line here that's labeled WW? This is, well, it's actually MM for measured move. Now, if you draw a line from the bottom here at this level up to the neckline, that would give you kind of like how much of a move to expect if we get a breakout. And that takes us up to $66. Now, what else is around the $66 is we have this resistance zone. So we're going to mark this down. And this is going to be our area where we need to scale out heavily before we get there and then leave a little bit of a runner. So how much does that give us back? So on the upside here, your max upside, 24%, really good. And more conservative, if we take it to this point of control, about 18%. All right, so 18% versus to the downside, give it maybe like 5%. For me, that's a great risk reward, which is why I am in this play. Now, if we do clear this yellow line, like I said, we could take a look at the all-time highs. This might be a hot play, setting up for a nice slingshot up. We'll see what happens. I will keep you updated on this one. Now, if you don't want to trade IonQ, there's a whole bunch of other ones. There's Qubit, QUBT, very similar pattern. And then you have QBTS, D-Wave Quantum, looking very strong as well. However, I like IonQ. I think the market cap's a little bit bigger than the others. This one is 18 billion, and I think this is one of the more established names. So you have options there to trade whichever one you want. Next up, we got CoreWeave. Just a couple of months ago, everybody was raging about what an incredible stock this was and how it was going to explode. And then we came down, we bounced off this zone, we had a second bounce off, and that's where the big rejection came. Do I think this move is way overdone? Heck yeah, it is way overdone. So what am I watching for right now? So we have, first off, we have this bounce off here off this purple box. Now, so how did I get that purple box? So we have this zone up here where, well, down there where it peaked and then it came back down. So this is the only thing we have to draw a support zone to. The next support zone is down here at $33, but that is ridiculously low. So not relying on that one. As long as we're holding this purple box here, I am long on Circle. I got my entry somewhere around the, I think, $72 when we had several candles holding up here and it started to move. I bought in on this, and as we got up here, I started adding into it. So where's my target? My next target would be up here at this resistance zone, roughly 113. That's great risk to reward. Your next target would be 141. So if we measure that, you have a 59% or a 28%, move to the upside, and then to the downside, you're risking about, well, 26. That would be too much. Well, depends on how you want to play it. If you want to play it longer term, you can risk a little bit more. However, for the short term, I'm probably gonna watch kind of like this 78-ish zone. If this starts to fail fast, then that means we have a lower low. We came down like this, we formed a low, we went up, we made the lower high, and then we're going for a lower low. That I don't want to see. So I'm going to keep this one tight so I can keep my risk reward pretty much in my favor. Next up, we got Qualcomm. Not the most exciting chart right here, but it is showing strength. And the reason I like this is because it is actually a boring trade, and boring trades tend to do the best. So this channel has been holding up for such a long time. You got to think that, it will respect these levels. And I was watching it right when we had this red candle here, and I brought it up in one of my videos. And I said, if we get a nice bounce off of the zone, because it is looking scary when you take this section out and you look at just this one here and this red candle here, you're like, this is a bad move. This is getting ready to roll over. But it did hold at the point of control, which intersected with this lower trend line of the channel. So it looked pretty good. And I went in, added into it as soon as we got more green. And I'm targeting the top of the channel. Now, could we go up higher? Well, recently we did go up to 205. So 205 will be my extended target on CoreWeave. Quick look at Circle. So, new stock doesn't have much trading history down in this zone. So the market just figured, where would the support be? Okay, let's take the lows off the opening day. So right now, it seems that we have bounced. We are struggling a bit. Well, not struggling, but we're holding up at the 21 EMA, which once it breaks out, that could be my entry long. And then if we can clear this zone here at 103, it's kind of like trying to look for previous support zone. So there's one back here. And we're going to have the 50 EMA coming down on us as resistance. So, once we get above this area, that would set us up for a bigger move to 137.50. But that's conditional. It could come up and then bounce and then stay down here for a while, then try and come up and take it out. With the market being very news sensitive right now, I think when we get moves, they're going to be big moves. I don't think we're going to get small moves next week and the week after. It's going to be very volatile. People are going to get shaken out. And if you play it smart and you keep your risk on the low side, you will eventually make money on the next 2 weeks. Just my opinion. Do your own research and come up with your game plan that works specifically for you. I'm just sharing what I'm doing, not telling you to do the same, but my whole point with this channel is not to show my entries and exits so I can flex, but really to teach. So I show you my thought process. I show you how I think it's gonna go. I tell you where I'm gonna be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I let you know. So, we can go over what happened. Next up, we got Micron. This one is on my watch list. One of the loveliest charts of the year. Very clean stair step to the upside, and then we had that pullback. My target on Micron is 280. However, we do have a call wall here at $250. It's 5.6 million in calls. So I expect it to start drifting towards it. And if we break above it, we're going to look at 280 and even higher targets than that. Micron has been a great winner for me this year. I, just trading the breakouts, all these levels, and I've been covering it here on my channel. So, if you guys don't want to miss out, you got to subscribe so you can get, the rundown of all these great setups. So, we broke through this level. Oh, well, this is support zone. We broke through here. This was one entry long. And then the second entry was when we came up, tested support. We started moving. That was when I took my second entry. And as it started stalling out and looking sideways, that's when I got out. Now we're setting up for the next move. So it's going to probably look like here you have the pull, here you have the bull flag, and then now we're going to have continuation up to 280. Next up, we have NUKK, Nucleus Inc. This one came on my radar on Friday. And as I discussed with you guys in my video where I use ChatGPT to analyze my trading history, one thing it pointed out to me is that on Fridays, I tend to make the worst trading decisions. The trades I take on Friday are the ones that usually end up performing very poorly. So the reason for that is, of course, Fridays are usually the lowest volume of the week. So you get a lot of fake signals. Now, this stock has been beaten down pretty badly. And, we broke out of this trend line once, and then we had the second candle on Friday. It tried to break out, but then it failed. So, I was going to get in midday here when it was showing green, but I told myself, if you want to up your odds on the trade, you have to wait for it to close the session. So, I decided that I would wait for the close or near the close because when you have a confirmation on two candles, midday, it's not, the session hasn't closed. If you wait for that second candle to close, your odds are higher. And I decided I would wait towards the end of the day and it pulled back. So no problem. Nothing lost here. However, I'm going to keep watching it, and let me put an alert here while we're at it. So, if we came down and pulled back to the 50 EMA, that is, it could bounce. It is holding. It is right below the resistance zone again, but we could just go back up the next day. If not, we could look for a bounce off the 21 EMAs. So as these EMAs begin to curl up like this, and we could see, price action coming down into it, and then we see a nice reaction. Once we see that reaction, that could be another entry to play it maybe short term up to 869. Thank you guys. If you made it this far, I just want to say this channel is just 3 months old and I'm trying my best to grow it. So if you guys have any feedback, let me know in the comments. I'm always open to constructive feedback to make this channel not just better for myself, but for you guys, so you can actually learn some kind of skills in your trading. Even if it's a little thing here and there, it can make a difference in the long run. Now, if you guys are new to trading, or you're just an investor and you want to learn more, or you want to learn about options, I have been putting out these new educational videos, and I'm planning on turning them into a series. Everything on this channel so far has been free. So, if you want to say thank you, just hit that like and subscribe, and I would really appreciate it. I will keep you guys updating during the week, and I put out maybe like 2 or 3 market analysis per week, and then I do some, just connecting the dots so you have a big picture, high-level view of what's happening in the markets. Take care, guys. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you next week.